Welcome to the Writer's Dream, a forum where authors can talk about how they write their books, how they publish their books, and how they market their books. It's also a place where people can go to watch how a story becomes a book. Please remember that if you have any questions about the Writer's Dream or that you would like to address to the Writer's Dream, we have a Facebook page by the same name, the Writer's Dream. So please go there and post your questions. Today we are going to do something a little different. Both Karen Bonet and I are going to interview Wendy Wax. Karen is the author of Whale Island and the Mysterious Bones. I am the author of Annie Tillery Mysteries. And Wendy, you're going to hear all about Wendy for today's show. Karen?
We're very happy to have Wendy Wax here. Wendy Wax is a children's book author, illustrator, and collage artist. She grew up in Michigan, where she earned her degree in graphic design. She later moved to New York City, where she became an editor for a magazine for several years. She lives in Remsenburg now with her husband, John, who's a photographer, and her 11-year-old son, Jason. Wendy, welcome.
My son's Jonah.
Sorry
and
about
also,
that.
I was
Jonah.
an editor of children's books.
Yes.
That's what, not magazines.
Okay.
Okay, just wanted to, okay. And the collages went to, the collages were done for magazines.
Okay.
But anyway, hi, it's nice to be
Hello.
here.
Nice to have you here. So tell us, how did you get started in the book writing business?
Well, my first job, when I first moved to New York from Michigan, when I graduated college, I knew that I wanted to do something creative with writing or art or design. And I saw an ad for a managing editor of a children's book publishing company. So I applied and I got the job with basically no experience. And when I got to my first day of work, there were two other new employees, one an art director and one an editor, and neither of them had any experience either. And the head of the company had just graduated from Harvard Law School, decided he didn't want to be a lawyer, and he just wanted to produce children's books. So he didn't know what he was doing either. And I remember the first day, he gave each of us a pile of slides. Mine were of deserts, and said, okay, make books. I'm going to the park. And he took his little 3-year-old to the park. He thought, being in children's books was just going to be fun. So we didn't know what to do. We were all sitting. We didn't know each other. We didn't know if the other people had experience or not. And we looked at each other. What do we do with our slides? And the art director got up and she started Xeroxing them, even though you can't really Xerox slides. And I started trying to think of things I knew about deserts, which I didn't really know much. And I don't think those books ever got made. But we learned as we went along. And one of the first things I had to do was come up with book ideas and then hire writers, illustrators, designer, all that stuff.
So you actually didn't start out writing the books. You started out coming up with the ideas.
Right.
Well, as a managing editors do everything. They work with the editor, the illustrator.
It's a nice title.
Yeah, it's a nice title, but they kind of supervise things.
Did you ever become a really cohesive team?
Kind of like a quirky, cohesive. but the thing is, my job description was so big because he had no idea what my boss had no idea what they did either. So I had, contracts and creative stuff and hiring and all sorts of things. So what I did was, since it was really unorganized, I kind of gravitated towards what I always do, and it's the creative. So probably some stuff got left undone, but I hired myself. I didn't know any writers to hire.
Got thrown into the fire, right then. Right.
Yeah, so I hired myself and wrote 6 books. Those are my first 6 books. This was the first book I did. It's called Inside the Aquarium. And there are a lot of mistakes in it. For example, not really not so much my mistakes, but if you see, the line length is way too long because there was a designer that came along and
didn't know what he was doing
either.
That's a question I have about children's books because I write chapter books and my books at this point have no illustrations. Are there specific guidelines in children's books based on children's ability to read, on how many words to put on a page, how many sentences?
There are, but I don't know them by heart. But I know that
that's okay.
I write a lot of early readers. And, for example, Backyardigans. I do a lot of writing for Nickelodeon and stuff like that on the side. I also, in addition to my own books. Right. And so this is this is a level 1 reader. So see how short these are?
Oh, yes.
And so there's a rule,
Yeah.
like only 3 lines per page.
That's-
It's
yeah.
And the
maximum.
font is a lot bigger.
And these have little rebus things or little animals in them. And then there's like level 1, level 2, level 3. So those are more the rule. You have to stick by it. But with picture books, there are some general rules, and I think a lot of what happens with self-publishing sometimes is they don't have that publishing company that has those rules, and so you really have to learn on your own.
Right.
And not all.
How about the length of the book? Does it have to be a certain length for
Well,
it?
most picture books are 32 pages, and they, like I've written.
So
so
they're
many-
like industry standards, pretty much.
Yeah, they're interesting, and also just what kids pick up. I mean, the book I just showed you, it's the line just goes on to forever.
Right.
And I don't even think parents will be wanting to read that long. But at the time, we didn't know.
Well, I apologize for getting you off the track.
I
But then what
that's
happened
okay.
next?
So what happened next? So I had these 6 books, which I learned. I also, another thing is there was another one called Where Does Bubblegum Come From? And I just wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote because I wrote every single thing
The
that I
bottom of the
researched.
desk, right?
I wrote, I handed in like a dissertation, thing, like because it was so, because I didn't know to leave things out.
Yeah.
Writing children's books, like little by little, I learned that less is more, and everything like that. So I did that, and then I got a job at a place called Parachute Press, and I loved that job. It was really it was fun. I was working on these books for Time Life and Fisher Price. They were called The Little People Big Book, and it was a whole series. So I wrote poems and little stories in there, as well as doing the editing, and I did, and I wrote stuff for middle grade, like Trumpet Book Club, where like a Scholastic Book Club kind of books. And then I worked for Byron Price Visual Publications, where I was an executive editor and ran the children's department, and then I went out on my own. But during that time, I started doing collage. What?
You learned a lot.
Yes.
I learned a lot.
You've come a long way from those first 6
Yeah,
books.
those first. I remember in that first job, we handed in a book, and the publisher said, "Well, where's the copyright page?" And we were like, "What's the copyright page?" So, I definitely, and I'm still learning.
So 90 books later,
Yeah.
what can you tell us about your 90 books as far
I
as
don't want to say okay.
No, not
90
all of
books,
them.
because a lot of the books, the bulk of them, are shorter books that I did for based on licenses, and I illustrated a Pinkalicious and SpongeBob joke books and things like that, where they produce so many a year, and it's like, well, I don't, well, they're all like basically, TV shows, and I didn't create those characters or anything.
Right.
They were fun to do, and it was bread and butter while I was writing other books, because you don't get paid for a book unless you send it out and get a contract and stuff
Now,
like that.
did you set out, when you got that first job, did you set out to do children's books, or were you really nebulous about where you were going as far as children's, adult, young adult?
Well, actually, I think my first thought was, this is for children's books, but I'll just do this for a little while and then do something like adult, something more real. Because to me, it just seemed like for little kids, like something little kids would do. But after a while, I started to realize, well, this is like real. This is the whole thing. This is fun. This is, this is something that I should be doing, and I want to be doing, and I love doing. But I guess, when you come out of college, you don't really know what's available aside from going to law school, going to business school, or going to advertising, or at least, when I did.
So do you have a favorite out of your 90? Do you recall a memory that brings back that you enjoyed writing?
Well, I really love this book. This is City Witch, Country Switch, and it's based loosely on the town mouse and the country mouse, the Aesop's fable. And I wrote it when I moved from the city out to the country, and I wrote it just for fun. But then afterwards, I was going to be interviewed on the radio, and they were going to ask me about this book, and I didn't know what went into it, what made you think of it, and so I started writing down what about the book, just to kind of figure out something to say, and I realized that when I moved, I didn't really want to move out of the city, and I became a witch. And I was just I was complaining, and just, and then when I started to really like it out here, I'd go to the city and want to come back out here. Oh yeah, let's go back to the country. And so it was kind of like autobiographical. And but it's a story, and the way it's different from the town mouse and the country mouse is the town mouse, when she goes to the country, doesn't like it and has to go home, and vice versa. And in this, I used witches because the witches could magically change the the surrounding, like make the city more country and the country more city. And
Would you like to read from it?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'd love to hear.
Okay. City Witch, Country Switch. And Scott Jabrala-Broxham, he's an amazing illustrator, and he did the illustrations. And I was really happy and excited when I got this.
Turn that around and show it.
Okay. Oh, all right, I'm not sure.
Beautiful illustrations, yeah.
All right, I have to.
Get the reflection off. That's good. Good.
Okay.
Very nice.
Mitzi was a city witch who came home late one night and saw the window open wide. Had she left on the light? She soon found that another witch had landed in her room. "It's me, your cousin Muffletump," her guest squealed. "Wow, nice broom." That night, poor Muffletump tossed and turned. The couch was much too soft. The street outside was noisy. She missed her cozy loft. Remembering a magic spell to help her fall asleep, she chanted, "Twinkly winkly," and the room filled up with sheep. And so, so the sheep, counting sheep, but also the sheep's part of the country bringing to the city. And so you can see now Muffletump, the country witch, is sleeping really well, and Mitzi, the city witch, woke up. So, in the morning, Mitzi planned to show her guest around. "What dirty air," groaned Muffletump. "It's rising from the ground." She coughed, she sneezed, she chanted, "Pa-dinka-dinka-dandy." And suddenly, the dirty smoke turned into cotton candy.
It's adorable.
So
I do like. Oh, the subway.
I love
favorite.
this spread. It's really fun. The cousins took a bus uptown to the Museum of Art. "There's hardly room to breathe in here," said Muffletump. Struck hard. The bus became a hayride with seats for everyone. "Giddy up," whooped Muffletump. "I knew this would be fun." So
I love books that have that kind of rhyme. For my granddaughter's 3. She loves to hear those and they're easy to read too.
yeah, I love writing in rhyme, and it's it's just like I could do it for hours and hours and hours,
Yeah.
and so that was really fun to write.
So this was your first endeavor, writing by yourself?
No, my first was I think this one was. This
I've seen this book actually.
A Very Nice Christmas, and HarperCollins published it. And what happened was I was at HarperCollins talking about some other books, like showing them some other book ideas, and the editor said, she said, someone wrote this manuscript, and I'd really like someone to illustrate it. So she gave me this Christmas manuscript, and I brought it home, and I just kept reading it, and it was like horrible. I really didn't like it. So it sort of inspired me to write my own Christmas book and illustrate it, and so they bought it. So it was kind of cool because
I would say.
I don't know what happened to that other one. But anyway, so this book, A Very Nice Christmas, my husband's a photographer, and so he did the photography, and then I did the story and made the collages.
Yeah.
And,
It's adorable.
Great. Yeah.
It's really sweet. It's like 6 spreads, and this.
There are so many beautiful children's books, and children's books are such a big market now. You just wonder what happens to so many kids at the age of 11 or 12 when they don't read anymore.
I know, I have an 11-year-old.
Maybe we should put more pictures in the adult books.
Yeah, that's
And
a good
collages
idea.
and things they can touch and smell.
That's a good idea.
I mean, I'm not being facetious because I can't, I was a teacher for years, and I just think to myself, what happens at 11 or 12?
Yeah.
There's so many other things to do.
I guess.
They get
Hormones,
busy,
too.
the kids, with so many other things. Although I love to read all the way through.
Okay, but this brings up a very interesting question also, that your history in that you worked in the industry all that time. Did that make it really easier for you to publish? Because you are published, you're not self-published, you're published by houses, as they say.
I mean, it definitely made it easier, but it's not, I still did a lot of work, and I have tons of rejection letters because for every book that I have, it's like, you know, I send it, I don't do things small. Like if I'm going to send something out, I'll just send it everywhere at once. And I work on a lot of books at the same time, and I'm always working. So,
But you knew the people.
so I knew what happened was once I had those 6 books published, that really helped me get my next job as a senior editor. And it really, and when I called another editor, like editors at different companies, I could say that I have books published by like a recognizable publisher. So that really, really helped, because then at least I could get someone at a desk could be expecting my package. And but it still goes in the slush pile, and you know, it's
Good to know.
Was there a lot of research you had to do on
good to know.
publishers then to send your query letters to?
I used to use this before computers, or before we used computers every day.
Yeah.
The LMP, it was a literary marketplace, and so I used
Still
to go
around.
there, and you know, and then I belong to the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators.
Right, so do we.
And you do? I actually do book consulting. I'm in the back. You know, I get a lot of freelance work.
Right, because
doing,
I didn't see your bio and your picture on the
Oh, really?
website. Yeah, you got to do that.
No, it's on there. If you go to like services or something like that, I
Okay.
don't know. I get a lot
You're in
of
a different location than the regular authors.
No, it's not authors. I do freelance consult, like editing and stuff
Okay.
like that. So I'm on their thing where I get a lot of people, especially after they do
'Cause I
the
looked for you
workshops.
yesterday.
Oh, yeah, I should be in there.
Well,
I've been a member for a long time.
No, I'm sure you're somewhere on the website, but it wasn't where I was looking.
Okay.
That's
Well, I'll go
basically
check.
what it is. Yeah,
I'll go check.
I would.
So tell us what motivates you to write. How do you get your ideas? Because you have obviously a very creative mind. So how do you get your ideas?
I just get them like everywhere. Dreams and
Okay.
just life and.
How did you get the idea about the bubblegum book?
Well, that it seemed like they wanted to do some sort of a little more nonfiction-y kind of thing. So I just thought bubblegum was fun, you know, and so, you know, and it was like way back then, so I don't really know how I came up with it. And it was part of a series of 4. Like, where does bubblegum come from? Where does crayons come from? Where does you do some? I don't even remember the other 2, but.
So you picked things that are really pretty ubiquitous in children's lives.
Yeah, and this Arlo book, for example, it's published by Sterling, and I was there, you know, with the editor talking about another book that I wrote for them, and they said, and she showed, and I saw this like armadillo on her desk, and I thought it was really cute. I said, "This is a really cute armadillo," and she said, "Oh, you know, this illustrator really wants someone to write a book about his armadillo." So I was like, "Oh, I can do it." So I went home and I did a whole proposal about Arlo, the armadillo, and with a bunch of book ideas. And so there's 2 books right now, and this one's kind of about bullying. And so it's like, so they just sort of come to me. I'm sort of always thinking like that, and I'm never not, you know.
Yeah. So the ideas came to you at odd times.
Always.
What about when do you wake up in the middle of the night and say,
Yeah,
from a dream?
my pillow has pen all over it. I mean, because I don't open my computer because I'll wake my husband up in the middle of the night. So I have pad and pencil into my bed.
And the car.
And the car. I bring my computer everywhere.
Yeah.
I go to the gym in the winter on the treadmill. I bring piles of.
Great about having a laptop.
Work. You know, I print things out and then I'll work, you know, like that. I bring it to the beach. I bring it to the movies if I get there early. Anyone who knows me knows.
Yeah, I have my
I
yellow
always
pad
have
at
my
all
stuff,
times. And
you know.
if I have some downtime, I'm waiting for somebody.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking.
Yeah. I don't get bored because I always have that.
Do you ever get writer's block?
I don't think so. I mean, right now I feel like I'm on an all-time high.
Good.
So I can't. So if I did get writer's block, like I'm always sort of like where I am now. But not really. You know, there's always something, and it's like
One idea
even
generates another.
journaling. You know, like
Right.
because I always journal. I write my dreams. You know, it's sort of all around me, and I feel like the more you do of that, the more that's there. It's like I have so many ideas right now. Like I can't even think of how to do them all.
And
right
you don't
now,
get distracted. You just
I can work through anything.
anywhere. That's good.
Yeah.
That's great. How about as far as writing and publishing and marketing and promoting? Do they help you, the publishers, or do you have to do that, a lot of that on your own? Do they?
Well, you know what? When it comes to marketing, like I just, as I said, I gravitate towards the creative, and I sort of don't pay attention to it. And now I realize that it's probably a good idea to pay attention, because what the publisher does is they, when your book first comes out, they market it, they put it in their catalog, and they try to promote it for that season. But every season they get new books. So, and they put it on the back list, and then maybe it'll disappear, and then it goes out of print. So what I did for this book, Even Firefighters Go to the Potty, I did a little experiment, and one day, like, I asked them if they'd send me they sent me a box of books. I said, I want to see what sending them out to blogs will do. So I found all these parenting blogs and family blogs and stuff, and because potty training is like everyone goes through it. And so I got all these blogs to review it, and then sales have been increasing. You know, this was done a few years ago, and they're getting bigger and bigger, and now they want to do a second book. So I don't know if it was me that did that, but
or the social media.
But I mean, so now from now on, like when I get a book published, I'm definitely going to take part in that first.
There's really so much that you can do. I mean, on
nowadays
the internet,
there's a lot.
So much that you can do.
You can
so
make it a
that
full-time job, actually.
Absolutely.
Well, you can, and it's like if I want to, you know, spend my day doing that or writing, you know,
writing
it's like
is
really
you have to get a balance.
And
I know for us who've self-published, we really must market ourselves. So for me, it's difficult to find the balance between the two things. You know, because the marketing is all-consuming. There's
Even
so many
I know. There's
things
so much you can do.
So much.
But you know what I'll do is I'll take a day and say I'm going to sit in front of the computer and I'm just going to visit every website, and just, you know, on one side, like, get my email, then copy paste, and I do it. Like, I cover a lot.
That's basically what I do, because I like to focus on one task at a time. It's hard for me to, like, all right, for 15 minutes this morning, I'm going to write 500 words on my book, and then I'm going to go over to the computer and I'm going to do my email. It's all that switching gears. I think you waste time. You waste creativity, I think, that way.
Yeah, but if you set aside a certain amount of time, because I think there's a lot of blogs that they're looking for content.
Yes,
you know, they have to keep putting stuff there, and for them to write it all themselves all the time, it's
very
a
true.
lot.
Yes,
very true. I had a guest who said this. I want to see what you have to say of this. One of my guests said, I have to read this because it's a little convoluted. One of my guests said that you can have a great idea, work very hard at all aspects of the process of making your book successful, but there needs to be someone to anoint you. Like finding a rabbi at Disney or having Oprah discover you. Have you been anointed yet?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I would love Oprah to
well, it doesn't have to be Oprah
market my books, you know,
or Disney, but do you think there's anybody in your career who really kind of did something special for you that, because you're pretty successful.
Yeah, I mean, along the way, like little things along the way, like, but I don't know if there's like that one person or whatever.
Like an epiphany, right?
Yeah, like, you know, I feel I'm a big believer in the law of attraction, and it's like if you feel like you need someone, you need an anointer, it's like it's accentuating that you have a lack of something, and I don't really think that way. Like I just sort
focus
of
on the positive.
I see something, whether it's like a book that I got to do, or you know, just an idea or whatever it is, and I just kind of move forward, and it's like. You know, along the way, like, you know, I loved my publishing jobs, and so I feel like, oh, well, I got these great chances doing that, and I, you know.
Perhaps it was the publishing job that was the anointer. Maybe
it was that, I think so, that first one, and then, but I don't know, I work really hard, I work all the time, and I just and I think that I don't know if, like there's such thing as just finding one person who's, well, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Do you think that being an opportunist is a good thing? You know, seeing the opportunity, the door opens and you
That's what I mean to say.
Go through the door.
Yes. And it's like I see opportunities everywhere. I feel that if I didn't get that first job, then something else would have come, because I'm always like,
focused.
It's like I know what I like, I know what I do, I know what I'm good at, and I'm constantly like getting.
That's where your energy is
learning and growing. It's where my energy is focused.
Right.
So something else would have happened. Like, I believe that. I believe
Yeah.
it's about a person's energy.
Right.
Oh,
and you knew what
true.
you wanted from the beginning. So.
I knew what I wanted, but not specifically. But it's like I knew, okay, this feels good, and this feels good. You know, this is kind of the right thing.
Right.
And,
So what's in your future?
I don't. Let's see. Well, they're doing another book of this, possibly. Even firefighters go to the potty, but right now. I'm working on 2 longer books, which is different for me. One's a middle grade fiction, and one's an adult book, novel. So it takes a lot longer. It's not like I can whip out a picture book, but I spend all day, every day writing, working on both of them together. And I'm also writing I Can Reads for HarperCollins, just to kind of keep that going. But so I don't know. I'll see what happens.
Can you give us a little hint as to what this new book is about?
I can't, neither of them, I can't like give you one sentence, which is the way you're supposed to be able to describe your book yet, so we'll wait and see.
Is it
Well,
a
the middle
mystery? Is it-
middle grade one is, it's about a girl who discovers that she's part something fantasy-like, and, you know, it's
I got it.
kind of things. So,
And the adult book
and the
is?
adult book, it's harder to describe, but I want to say that I have a cousin named Wendy Wax, and she writes adult books also. So she doesn't really know this yet, but we've been getting mixed up. We've been getting each other's congratulations and each other's emails, and it's kind of
Are you getting her
mess.
checks, though?
Not yet so far, but, you know. So anyway, you know, I hope it doesn't mix things up. She writes romance comedy.
Yeah.
Mine's a little
Yeah.
different than that.
What other plans do you have on the horizon? You have the books, anything else that you want to share with us?
You know what? I think about my books and what I'm doing like all the time. So I think big for what I'm creating, but I don't think big for like my life. I'm very like, you know, I have a really basic life. I do my yoga, I do my meditation,
Well, your
I do
writing
my
is
books.
your life.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
So-
your
Yeah.
career.
And and illustration. I've been doing more art, and I see myself doing more art, like not just collage, but like more like I've been doing
Yes.
drawing and painting and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Well, best of luck to you,
Yes.
Wendy.
Thank you.
It's really
Such
been
a
nice
pleasure.
speaking with you.
It's a
Nice to
pleasure
meet
to
you
have
too.
you with us.
And,
Thank you,
Thanks for
Wendy.
having me.
Thank you.
I'm going to read that potty book.
Yes, I have to get that. Well, actually, my